Hello everybody, thanks for stopping by. I know it's been a while since I put out a video and I quickly wanted to explain why. Several weeks ago a big storm came through and did some damage to some of my sheds on the side of my house. So I had to empty those sheds out, rip them down, get new sheds put in over there, and then kind of go through everything, find out what was damaged and what was good, and then pack everything back up. That whole process took a little over a month, and while that was going on, my shop here, my garage, was packed full of all the stuff that was in those sheds. So while all that was going on, not only was my shop in here unusable, I didn't really have the time to film and edit a new video and put anything out. And I know a lot of YouTube channels, they have weeks or maybe even months of videos kind of in a queue waiting to be released. That's not really how I do things here. I'm a one-man show, just kind of doing this as a hobby. So I film, edit, and release videos one at a time. But I'm back in the shop, and today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and testing of a mini CNC machine. So the fine folks over at SaneSmart.com sent me this little mini CNC machine. It's the Genmitsu 3018, and the only stipulation or requirement that they gave me was to produce a YouTube video on it and give my viewers my honest impression. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to get this thing out of the box, get it all set up, and we'll find out how a miniature CNC machine performs. Now, if I'm being completely honest, I really don't have a lot of faith that this is going to impress me too much. I'm used to using my Onefinity CNC that I've had for a few years now. It's been fantastic. It costs 10 times more than this. It's a lot bigger, obviously. So that's just what I'm used to. I would love for this to prove me wrong, and I'm going to give it as fair of an evaluation as I can. But honestly, I don't have a lot of hope for it. Now, this company, they make larger machines than this also. On the website, they also sell 3D printers, laser engravers, and then all kinds of things to go with those, like filament and resin for the 3D printers, and router bits for their CNC machines, all kinds of stuff like that. So if you're interested in lasers, CNCs, 3D printers, that sort of thing, I would definitely check out the website. There might be something for you on there. They did send me a link that I will put in the description, and if you use that link to get to their website, it will give you 10% off anything on the website. So if you want to check them out, go ahead and use that link to get there. And if you end up buying something, it'll save you an extra 10%. I will say the packaging is very nice, so that's a good first impression. Everything is in its spot. It's nice and tight, packed in foam, so that's good. Here's a little box with all the parts you need to assemble it, and everything is labeled really nicely. And they did send me the unit with the offline controller, so this is kind of an upgraded unit. I think this one is slightly over $300. There's a lower model that doesn't come with this controller, but with this, you can control the movements of the spindle. Let's see if I can get this. Here's the main gantry right here. So on the main gantry right here, you have the main control board with the power button. There's also an emergency stop button on the side right here. That's nice that they include that. And then there's 2 stepper motors that control the X and the Z. These side riser plates, the blue ones here, this is 1/4 inch thick aluminum. It's anodized really nice. There's a nice chamfer on all the edges, so there's no sharp corners or edges or anything like that. That's actually pretty nice. And then there's these extruded aluminum pieces that hold it all together. And then the carriage for the spindle rides on these 2 steel bars, and then there's a lead screw that moves it back and forth. And this actually feels surprisingly solid. There's no wobble or play in this. We'll see how it reacts when it gets into contact with the wood, but just on first blush here, it seems really solid. And there is a limit switch on each side for the X, and then there's limit switches in here for the Z as well. And I'm sure that the Y will also have its own set of limit switches. So next in here are a few little router bits, and here's the spindle it comes with. Isn't that cute? Look at that. It's so cute. It's so tiny. The specs on this, I have no idea. But we'll give it a go and see how it does. So here's the base assembly, so you get an idea of how small the work area of this CNC machine is, and the stepper motor for the Y is attached to that, and then there's a couple cables. So this is going to take a little bit of assembly. I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off. I'll get this thing all assembled and then come back and we'll fire it up and see how she performs. All right, guys, here it is all put together. It went together pretty quick and easy. It's just a few parts. Everything lined up and went together really nice. It's quite small. Your work area is 11 inches wide by 7 inches deep, or 180 by 280 millimeter. The spindle's very small, not very powerful. You're not going to carve really deep or fast with this thing, or anything really large, as you can see. The controller it came with works really well. I mean, everything moves around just fine. Front and back, left and right, and it'll move the spindle up and down also, so that works just fine. It came with a little micro USB that plugs into this controller, and it was supposed to have a test project on it, but it's not on here. So to actually test a carve on this, I'm gonna have to go design something nice and small and put it on this little USB card or micro SD card, and then come back and try to run it. One thing I've already found that I don't like is after you home it, it still doesn't know where its limits are. So even after it's homed, if you're moving it around and you hit one of the limit switches, it shuts down an alarm. It says alarm on the screen and the whole thing stops. And the quickest way to clear that is just to turn it off and turn it back on, or you can use these little thumb wheels. Each of the stepper motors has a little thumb wheel. You can move it off the limit switch with those, and then hit your the reset button over here and then reset it, and that clears it up pretty quick also. But to get ready to carve, you have this little controller here, and I would just move this over here to the corner of my material. So right there, I'm close to the corner of that material, and then I can select 0, X, and Y, hit enter. Then I can move this more towards the center of my material and use this little probe it came with. You just set the probe under the bit. I'm going to move that bit up a little bit. Set the probe under, or the plate under the bit. Clip this onto the bit. And then in this little menu here, scroll through that, select probe, hit enter, and it'll probe. And there you go. Probe for Z. So at this point, X, Y, and Z should be zeroed for this piece of material. I'm going to run over to my CNC room real quick, make up a little carve for this that fits this material, and then I will come back and try to run it. All right, so from the little controller here, I can turn on the spindle, which I'm going to do now, and then I will choose the little file I made and see if it'll carve it. Well, I tried to do something. Now it's in a hold pattern. Now it says it's running. Obviously not working. So I kind of recognized what was going on there. I ran into this problem when I first got my laser engraver, and I was designing projects in Lightburn using inches, and the machine was set up for millimeters, so it didn't exactly translate. And this is what was happening. Projects I designed to be this big were carving or laser engraving really tiny. So I'm going to redo the design using metric measurements, and hopefully this machine will be able to read that. All right, guys, I think I got it this time. I just use a different post processor within VCarve Pro, one that's Gerbil friendly, and it should be able to talk to this machine and get this carve done. But I have to say, even if this was doing the carve perfectly right out of the gate, this probably isn't something I could recommend to anybody. It's really small, it's underpowered, you're not going to be able to do much with it. If you like doing CNC, you're going to want to get rid of this and upgrade to a bigger, more powerful machine very quickly, and then you've just wasted $350 on this. Because once you have a larger machine like my Onefinity or a Shapeoko or something like that, which are still considered hobbyist machines even though they're a few $1,000s, you're not gonna be using this if you have one of those machines. This will either You'll give it away, you'll try to sell it, you'll stick it in the closet somewhere and it'll take up space. This is not something you're going to use long term, I don't think. But this company does make CNC machines that are much larger. They're in the $1,000 to $1,500 range, and based on the quality of this, I would have no problem buying one of those and giving it a shot. Here we go. A lot of vibration while it's carving, the whole machine's moving. And as you saw there within the G-code, it started and stopped the spindle. I didn't have to do that manually, so that was pretty cool, actually. I'm going to pull this off and see how it looks. Well, and there's the result. Carved it out pretty good. There's a little bit of chip out, but that's probably just the nature of the wood, the direction of the grain and all that. And I used the air compressor to blow it out, to clean it up. So, but not terrible. All right, guys, now that I have this thing figured out, using it is really easy. I can do my designs in VCarve Pro, make sure I save them using the correct post-processor, put them on that little SD card, and put them in this controller, and I can run them right from this controller. This does have a USB port, so you can plug a computer directly into this and run it that way also. That's how I use my Onefinity. I have a laptop that's always hooked up to it, and I control it that way. So I think this little CNC is strong. It's pretty rigid. I think it's well made, well engineered, but I wouldn't buy it. It's just too small to do any serious CNC projects on. I mean, the reality of life is that people have budgets when it comes to buying things like this. You may be looking at a $4,000 or $5,000 Laguna or Onefinity CNC machine, but you just don't have the money for it. But if you have a budget in, say, the $1,500 range, one of these machines in a larger form factor might be worth a look. So that's it for this one, guys. Use the link below to check out the Sane Smart website. By using that link, if you buy anything there, you'll save yourself 10%. And that offer is good for about the next 30 days. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.